What's up, Laker fans? I'm not saying that to sound like Mr. Pete Zayas. I'm saying that because I'm not saying it with the same raspy voice. No, I'm going to change the intro up. This is just experimental podcasting, or as someone I know once said, it's elbow James Harden in the head type podcasting. Once again, I'm Charles Ryan. I'm your host. This is probably going to be just a solo venture. When I did my previous podcast, Lakeshow's Finest, which I mentioned before, I did have a guest, but we'll see what happens. If this gets traction, which you never know, it could, it couldn't, never know. Maybe there'll be a guest. I said I listened to a bunch of podcasts, which I said before, but I listened to podcasts like Lakers Legacy, Lakers Film Room. I'd say those two are my favorite Lakers podcasts. The ones I'm not too fond of is what's the one called? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Lakers Talk with Alan Siwa. And the other one I'd say is, it's not bad, it's just not the best. I think the guy's unqualified. It's Harrison Fagan's former partner, Anthony Irwin. It's Locked On Lakers. I think it's a good podcast sometimes. I really think that he's smart. But at the same time, not a lot of the solo podcasts are brutal. They're just so hard. The only reason why I've been listening to it is because he picked up Pete Zayas from the Laker Film Room, like I mentioned, and it's very interesting listening to Pete and Anthony and Pete and Darius Soriano on the Laker Film Room. Darius has been, for people that don't know, it's not like I've been told by them to talk them up or talk them down. But Darius Soriano has been the main guy for Forum Blue and Gold, or Purple and Forum Purple and Gold, Forum Blue and Gold. I should know this. I am the biggest Laker fan in the world. But he's been the main guy there for a while, for several years. And I think it's really funny because he actually sounds like Harrison Fagan, Anthony's former partner. It's actually kind of strange. But when Darius and Pete are doing their podcast, it just comes off so much more professional, and they sound like they know what they're talking about. And their takes are like, they have different takes. They're super different takes sometimes. And they dive deep into why. That's the thing. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but you need to say why. And the longer you say why, usually, and the more experience you have, obviously, usually the better the podcast it will be. So that's where I'm at with the podcast right now. This is not an indictment on them. I'm just trying to get my name out there by being an asshole. No, I really, really am trying to break into the scene. And I've seen other podcasts. There was this one podcast this guy was doing. He tried to do a solo Lakers podcast, and after 5 episodes, he gave up. Each episode was about 10 minutes long. I'm sure other people have attempted to do it unsuccessfully or successfully. I don't know. But those are the main ones I listen to regarding specifically Lakers. My favorite podcast period of all time is Bill Simmons. I've been listening to BS Report / the Bill Simmons podcast from the beginning. The BS Report was the greatest thing to ever happen to sports media, in my opinion, ever. Bill Simmons is the greatest sports guy ever, period. I think when he says that there should be a sports czar for the president, I think that's a great idea. Of course, not this president, but the previous president might have worked out better. I think because the previous president was pretty good at something that had to do with sports. And you may be thinking, well, Charles, how could you like Bill Simmons when he's a Celtics fan? And I'll tell you, it's a common phrase, opposites attract. I don't mean to sound like that, but I really respect the guy's opinion. I love hearing his take on the Celtics. I love it when he's mad at the Celtics. That's when I like it the most, but I just love hearing it. He's real, and who's even more real is his dad. But the point is, that's my favorite podcast. And I can deep dive in all these podcasts I like, but I'm going to break into the scene. I love this. I love the Lakers. I made a mistake in the intro. I said one of my favorite things is the Lakers. I don't understand why I didn't just say my favorite thing ever is the Lakers. Other things I like are the Lakers, and another thing I like is the Lakers, and then the third thing I like is the Lakers. Or was it the fourth thing? But the fifth thing I like was the Fiesta Lakers at the Convention Center. The Latino side Lakers. So I'm really going to make a huge effort here. I said I'm 23, so right now I'm a blank slate pretty much. Like everybody else, just graduated from college. But I said it before, I'll say it again. I coached at basketball camps. I coached at Derek Fisher camp. I coached at Crossroads camp. I mentioned Crossroads because Baron Davis went there. They're the Crossroads runners. LeBron James' son, LeBron James Jr. is currently on the Crossroads team. Sharif O'Neal went to Crossroads. So I'm not talking about some random school. I'm talking about fucking Crossroads. And it's funny because I actually played for Crossroads against them, with them. When I was at Brownwood, I played against them. Charles, how could you say that you played with them? It's because in the summer they would do practices, they would do squads, they compete in tournaments, and it was the summer. So it was quote-unquote walk-on, but they knew that I went to Brownwood. And they had some good players, and when I say good, I mean mediocre. But once someone like LeBron James Jr., Sharif O'Neal comes, it's weird because the competition in the division they're in is ridiculously terrible. The competition sucks. But then they get invited, to tournaments where the competition's higher. But that's some more aspect of my life as a Laker basketball aficionado. I'm going to jump into it right now. The most recent Laker game was against the Utah Jazz on, I believe it was Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. Last night. And I'm really disappointed about that game. But there's one person that I'm not disappointed with. And it seems like every other night it's either B.I., Kuz, or Lonzo that has a standout game. And especially Lonzo. Because he'll have a standout game. And it's not in points. And when people say Lonzo can't shoot, I get it. I get the form. I get the... It's really important if his first shot goes in, like other people have said. When I say other people, I mean experts, like Pete says. But it's really important that Lonzo has games sometimes where he may only have 5 or 7 points, but he'll have 11 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 1 turnover, 2 turnover, plus 15, plus 10. Those are my favorite games. Just deferring, and I honestly don't care if he goes 3 for 10 or 2 for 7 or even 8 for 30. His defensive effort is the best in the team, period. Rondo's declined. Lonzo's 6'6". I'm sorry. Lonzo is the best defender on the team. And if you're going to say LeBron, that's fine. You could say that. You can argue that. He's the best. Lonzo's the best guard guard defender on the team. He has active fans. Gets the bunch of deflections every single game. And the problem is this is when he wants to. This is when he puts in the effort. It's obvious that their effort level isn't there. And that was very evident last night against the Jazz. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Kyle Kuzma got smashed by returning to Utah, because the college he went to, obviously Utah, is literally up the street from the stadium, the arena. God, I should know the arena. They changed the name. But it's not like this guy flew into, God knows, middle of nowhere and just decided to do nothing, or, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, Kuzma, I don't understand what happened. I think he still has a back issues. That's what that's my humble opinion. But I'm just disappointed in everyone except for Lonzo, and I love Lonzo. And there's this thing that you're going to hear sometimes. It's like a soundbite, but it might be the best soundbite ever, because it goes something like this. And when I say the best soundbite ever about Lonzo, I really, really mean it. Did you get that? He said getting guys easy looks. Do I need to repeat it 10 more times? Yeah, let's do that. Did you get that? I don't know if you got it. Should I do it again? And it's sad too sometimes, and this happens with Brandon Ingram a lot, where he'll get guys open shots and they just don't make them. There's games where Lonzo could have 20 assists. I mean, easy looks not being made. But I was disappointed last night in JaVale especially. I don't understand the ISO take it yourself game. I mean, I didn't get that. And then JaVale was mad after the game. Like, why don't you be more professional, JaVale? With all due respect. I mean, JaVale has been really the brightest spot on the team, or the more unexpected brightest spot on the team. I mean, I don't think he will win Most Improved Player, but if there was an award that came out of nowhere, or maybe even comeback, as in Shaqtin' the Fool is over, I mean, it would be JaVale. This guy is just a monster. But last night, I don't understand his criticism. I don't understand why he even played as much as he did. There was a play, in the third quarter, I think Luke pulled him like 2 minutes in to get Zubats in there. If I was Luke, I would have done the exact same thing. And then I don't understand, like Luke said, why he went to the media to literally just say, bullshit. But JaVale, disappointed with him. I'm gonna move on to just one more guy, and that's Brandon Ingram. I thought the shots he made were really impressive. I mean, the buzzer beater that he had at the end of the first quarter or second quarter. Forgive me, I just finished watching the Rams game. No, but that Jazz game feels like a very long time ago. But yeah, that shot by Brandon, I was just amazing. Turnaround in between the legs, semi-step back, whatever. That was awesome. It's weird. It's like Kobe-esque, but like he's like slender man, and it looks weird, but like it's not weird. And I mean, I'm proud of the guy. He's trying his best, but the inconsistency is just ridiculous. Fun fact, I met Brandon Ingram at the Macy's Mall. I want to say it was during the season, his rookie season, and his parents were there. Donald, his dad, and the mother, I forgot her name. But I went up to him, and because the Lakers obviously weren't the best, his rookie season, did I say it was last year? Sorry. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This is his third year. When I met Brandon, literally nobody really showed up, which I felt really bad about. And they were like saying, no, we can't sign balls, which is the dumbest thing ever. They can't sign a basketball. So I did bring a basketball. All they could sign was just a photo. But when I met him, first of all, I thought he was high because he's always high. But second of all, his dad, I shook his hand and I said, your son is awesome. And I was the only person that shook his hand. And I also think I might have been the only person that knew who he was. But before I shook his hand, you may not believe what I said, but I did. I said, and this is paraphrasing, I said, Brandon, I wish your dad Donald was in office instead of this Donald. Only I would say that to Brandon. And he cracked a smile. Brandon never smiles, I'm telling you. Brandon never smiles when he does these public events, okay? And maybe it was because he's high, but I'm telling you, that was so great. I have a picture with me and Brandon. I should post that on my YouTube channel or Twitter feed, which will be up and running. We're in the beginning stages. And when I say we, I mean me and only I. Solo operation. I can do it. Colin Cowherd style. But yeah, I'm really proud of Brandon. He gets a lot of hate. I think he's going to get traded. Personally, I would trade him. I'm proud of him. I like him. He's has one of the most unique skill sets I've ever seen. But I think he's gone. I really do. And if he's not, I don't think that's the end of the world. I really don't. And we're going to move on a little bit now past the Jazz game because it was like a flush the toilet game, just move on. The game was over really in the second quarter when the refs just decided to give Kyle Korver every single call. And when I say refs, I mean one ref, and that's Scott Foster. And I don't know what the hell Scott Foster was doing. But, yeah. That game was unfortunate. We could have had a huge separation from the 8th and 9th seed, and now we might have dug ourselves a little bit of a hole. And when I say a little bit of a hole, I mean a big hole if LeBron doesn't come back ASAP Rocky. But yeah, it's okay. Everything will work out. But back to Brandon and the AD thing. This has been talked about so much. So much that I'm tired even talking about it. But I would be okay if he wasn't traded. I would be okay waiting for AD in a year and a half or whatever. Because I think Brandon's real. Waiting for AD in year 3 of LeBron, I don't think is that bad. Because this summer, I think we're going to sign someone who's a baller on a 1-year deal. I think we're going to do a Chris Paul type thing where you get him for 1 year and you wink, we'll give you a max extension or mini max, whatever, once we have 80. And there's also another issue, which is the fact that I said that I was a Laker fan ever since 2003. And the issue is I didn't show any proof. The YouTube video in my room is proof. But I can show some proof right now. And what you may hear, you may laugh. And this is a 10-year-old kid. So no judgments. You hold back those judgments. I'm going to John Oliver you right now. Hey, hold back. This is me, 10 years old, talking and calling in. And it's funny, but it's proof. And I don't need to prove anything, but I just want you to know that I'm the real deal.
866-987-2570. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie in L.A., what's happening? Lakers win 106-93. You and I are talking about it on Lakers Line. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good. I just wanted to talk about how Ronnie Turiaf, he had a great game. He had one block. And last night I was at the game versus Spurs.
Uh-huh.
And he had 2 blocks, and he was guarding Tim Duncan. I thought he did really good.
Yeah, he had 4 blocks over the course of that game. And tonight, I mentioned, another good night for Ronnie. And he's kind of getting some playing time by default because, tonight it was Kwame's foul trouble. Of course, the other night it was because Kwame got cracked in the nose there. And he's making the most of it. Tonight finishes with 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists to go with a blocked shot. So no question, Ronnie making the most of the time he's getting. Now, Charlie, how old are you?
I'm 10.
You're 10. Does anybody call you Chuck yet?
No.
Oh, that's going to come. You watch, man. By the time you're 16, all your buddies are going to be so stoked they got a friend named Chuck. It's the way it works. Now, wait a minute. I got to ask you, you're 10. What time do you normally go to bed, Charlie?
12.
Good for you. Because, I used to stay up.
Yeah, I really went to bed at 12 when I was 10.
Watch the George Michael Sports Machine, and that guy with his freaky haircut would turn around and hit the button. I watched those reel-to-reels go. That's how I learned all this stuff about sports. So good for you.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Anything else you want to contribute here, Charlie?
Yeah, I thought the technical foul, Kobe, I thought he shoved it in the ref's arms, but like a couple of seconds later, the ref was just waiting, and then he called it. I thought that he should. I don't think Kobe should got the technical foul.
What do you think Kobe said to him? Don't answer that, Charlie. I'm just kidding. All right, Charlie, you join us anytime you want. Thanks for hanging in there and calling. My wife is.
So, I was 10. My balls didn't drop yet. You hear me? I never really heard ever, a little kid like that ever call. I'm saying now. I don't know if there's archives of 710 ESPN and, AM570 when it was with Fox. But I really doubt another 10-year-old ever called. And if they did call, I bet they didn't call twice.
My wife she's very excited that not only am I missing Easter Sunday with the family, but our anniversary. Oh, darn. It's the way it works. Let's get it started here. We will go to Charlie, who was at the game on this Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Charlie, how are you? You're on Lakers Line. What's happening?
I'm good, Matt Money. Do you remember me from the last time?
I do remember you from the last time, Charlie.
Thanks. I wanted to say that the Lakers, they came out really strong, and they sent a clear message to the Suns, and that they're going to have to deal with us.
Well, I'll tell you what I think, Charlie. I think there was a lot for the Lakers to gain had both teams started who they would start in the playoffs. The Lakers had significant more to gain because they had not beat this team with Steve Nash. And I think if they had, then it would have given them that momentum. Now, by resting Steve and Raja, they don't really show their hands at all for the playoffs. And the Lakers essentially beat a Suns team that was undermanned. And Nash is kind of the guy that powers this team. He's the engine that makes it go. And you can see the difference is, this is a team that shoots 48%, 40% on their threes, and today 37%, just 28% on their threes. So I think the good thing, Charlie, is the Lakers, as long as they manage to beat the Hornets on Wednesday, will avoid the Spurs in the first round. And even though it is a team that didn't have Steve and Raja, the Lakers, hopefully will feel good about this win, that they can run up and down and score 109 points against this team.
Okay.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. But one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think even with or without Steve Nash, I think the Lakers. Oh, I think the Lakers can beat them with Steve Nash too.
Yeah, why do you think that?
Because everybody's stepping up at the right time. See, they're peeking in at the best time, and the Lakers are playing aggressively right now versus Suns, and I think they did really good.
That's a great point, Charlie. I'm going to tell you why. Because the Lakers, and thanks for calling, Charlie. I'm glad you had a good time at the game. The Lakers are peaking, in fact. They have won 4 in a row, and we mentioned coming into this homestand they would have to win all 5 if we felt like they were going to get that 7 seed and hold the Kings off. And, in fact, it looks as though they're going to do that. In the meantime, the Suns have only won 10 of their last 21 games. So they're 10-11 over their last 21. So maybe, in fact, the Lakers have somewhat of a mental edge, feeling like they're playing better basketball right now than the Phoenix Suns, even though they have sat Steve Nash the last 2 contests. They haven't been playing their best basketball as of late, to say the least. But one game they did play very well, despite being down 17 at the half, was in Sacramento. As I mentioned, outscoring the Kings 72-42 in the second half, allowing the Lakers to jump the Kings, get into that 7th spot, and have this first-round matchup with the Phoenix Suns should the Lakers manage to beat the Hornets on Wednesday, or if the Kings lose either today's game against the Hornets or their final game of the season against the Seattle Supersonics. 866-987-25.
So, let's make something clear. This was days, weeks before the Lakers faced the Suns in 2006 when Kobe made that amazing buzzer beater to put the Lakers up 3-1, and then we lost, 4-3, obviously. And as you can imagine, I was at that buzzer beater game. And I remember just being so happy. But the one thing that I was pissed off about, this was the one thing I was mad about. It was obviously amazing to be at the game. I mean, I truly remember that for the rest of my life. But after Kobe made the shot, Sasha runs up to him. The dude with, the crazy hat, Rick the Brick, goes up to him. And then Kobe, he yells and he pulls his jersey to the left and he's screaming. I wish I could have seen that on TV because I'm, in the stands, I'm, in the 200 section or whatever. And I can't see that. And I don't even think the camera was on him. And if it was, I guess I wasn't paying attention. So I would have loved to see that live. Kobe's reaction to it. Kobe's feelings after that incredible shot from the corner. Fun fact about that game. If you don't know, the guy who tipped the ball to Kobe was Luke Walton. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but that is the case in my mind, in my memory. Speaking of Luke Walton, I think he's doing good. Gets a lot of hate. I think there's a chance he gets fired. I don't know who's going to replace him. I don't know, Mark Jackson, whatever. But I think he's good. I think he's staying. I think he's going to be there throughout his whole entire contract. I think he has 2 more years left, a team option on the last one. 2 more years left. But we'll see what happens. I think if LeBron stays injured for a significant amount of time, when I say significant, I mean Rondo amount of time, it's okay if they don't make the playoffs. I think the season, of course, would have been a failure if they didn't make the playoffs, and, LeBron was there the whole time, and LeBron's never missed this much time, so it's yeah, of course, they're going to make the playoffs, at least 7 or 8 seed. But this has never happened before, and LeBron's a human specimen. I'm sorry, did I say human? But I think they'll be fine. I think it won't hurt Luke if they don't make the playoffs. But more into Luke, what I was going to say. This is real. This is more talking myself up. This is more Laker Room shit, that video that you're going to watch after this and up in the description. I have this Luke Walton jersey that he autographed when I went to the Luke Walton Richard Jefferson basketball camp. And yes, I was I wasn't 10. I think I was 11 or 12. But I went to the Richard Jefferson, Luke Walton basketball camp, and I met Luke, and of course he was on the Lakers, and Richard and him are best friends, as most people know. But the funniest thing happened at that camp, and Richard Jefferson has addressed this before. Richard got traded on one of the last days of the camp. He got traded from the Nets to, I think, the Bucks. I'm not 100% sure, though. But when Richard got traded, he was like in the corner on the phone the whole time. And everybody was like, why is he there? And when I say everybody, I mean me. I'm like, something must be going on. And Richard has said, to this day, the way he found out was from a camper. And he said the way he found out was that the camper said, I'm sorry about you being traded. My dad just told me. I'm not saying that was me. And in fact, it was not me. Whoever that was, they must be the luckiest fucking person ever. But, no. But, fun fact about that. There's going to be a lot of fun facts. I have a lot of Easter eggs that I don't know most people have. And if they do, good for them. I'm the more personal touch on my YouTube channel, which is this is going to be posted there as well. There are personal things like that room, like other things, which you'll probably laugh at that are ridiculous. And when I say ridiculous, I mean look at the older videos. But or even look at my most popular video, you'll laugh at that. But regarding Luke, at that camp, I took a picture with him and Richard. That's what you do. When you go to these camps as kids, they sign autographs for you. They do a picture with all the kids. I went to Michael Jordan camp. He did the same thing. He'd take a picture with the kids, and then he would sign stuff. And at Luke's camp, I walk into the room to take a picture with Luke and Richard, and it's like a private room. And Luke says, "Hey, what a good-looking kid." And I'm like 11. I'm like, oh my God, like Luke Walton saying this. And was another fun fact, Bill Walton was there pretty much every day. Of course, more fun facts. My mom got his email, and they emailed like back and forth for a few weeks or a few months. And I'm not lying. I'm telling you, this is real. And my goal is to be as honest as possible. And there are people that do lie, that do hyperbolize things. And that is not me. I promise. I LeBron it. I promise. I shouldn't have to justify myself, but I understand if people are skeptical. I understand if they think something is bullshit. And if something is bullshit, I will call myself on it. Like I could have easily said that camper was me. It wasn't. But yeah, so Luke was so nice, and it was so funny having Luke say that, and then what happened with Richard, it was like two really crazy things happening to the two guys whose camp it was. And another fun fact, I really didn't want to go to the camp. I dreaded it. And then I'll have another Luke Walton story I'll share later, and this one's actually better. And it's more personal. I might show the photo with me and Luke, and I'll tease it. There is more than one photo of me and Luke at separate times. All right. I'm Charles Ryan. This has been blank. I'm gonna name it something soon. It's to be announced title. Its running title is Lakers Podcast. Whoa. All right, so that's the pod. Have a good night, everybody. I'm really happy that the Rams won. I'm really, really happy. I'm actually I can't believe that this is really happening. I'm really pulling for Chargers Rams. I really am. Disclaimer, I'm not the biggest. I'm not a big Rams fan. I'm not a bandwagoner. I just think it's amazing that the Rams are where they are, and that it's possible it could be Chargers, Rams. And of course, in just a few hours, we'll find out what happened. And you're probably listening to this after the Patriots played the Chargers. But that's it for now. I'm Charles Ryan. I'm checking out. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on the video. You can DM me, I think, on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure how that works. If you have any questions, comment on the video. Any comments? If you don't like what I said, that's fine. I don't mind criticism. If you hate it, that's fine. I really don't care. I embrace criticism, while other podcasters, like Harrison Fagan and mostly Anthony Irwin, just attack other people. Little Twitter trolls. It's like, I don't care about Twitter trolls. I enjoy listening to other people's perspectives, even if it's crazy. Even if it's, let's build a fucking wall and kill all these immigrants and drugs and waste $24 billion on something. I enjoy listening to the perspective because I know that is bullshit. All right, I'm Charles Ryan. Have a good night. Go Lakers. Oh, and by the way, I am the biggest Laker fan in the world.